First shot. I really like this, where this barn has collapsed on this side. We have it's nice. It was quite difficult. I wasn't quite sure where to frame it. In some respects, it would be quite nice to get a shot with this in here. So I might try and step back a little bit, but behind me is a ditch and trees, so I can't really get back there all that much more. I've only got the one lens, so I might be stuck. This is quite nice, and I need you to really appreciate this stuff, because the mosquitoes, which are the size of cats, are eating me alive here. So anyway, good start. So I wasn't quite sure about this shot because I'm a little bit too far away, and I'm not going to walk into the middle of the farmer's field, especially as I think he just drove past. I want to get yelled at, I hate that. But I've always liked this building because it's this kind of got this silver cladding on it. But the shot I wanted was obviously going to be in that 65-24 format, and it kind of swam a little bit to begin with. It wasn't working because it was just, I needed 110 mil, and I've only got a 55. I needed to get in a little bit closer, but I couldn't. What I did do actually was I moved this big building from the centre, which I would have preferred it to have been, to around about, where would it be, about here. So I moved the whole frame across because this area here is a little bit dead, but this down here is quite interesting. You've got these little trees going on, you've got the buildings, and I kind of like it running away off that way, because there's just nothing but shadow just here, and I don't think it works all that well. And again, who cares if it's not slap in the centre? We can move things around and make things work. What might be a compromise in one area of the shot is an advantage in another. So happy to do that, and it's a shot that I will be quite happy to show you. So my lovely dog has decided to model for me, which I don't mind in the slightest. You can see where I've got this slash of daylight hitting the gravel in front of me, which I'm pretty certain now that I can hold, while still maintaining some of the shadow in between these stumps. And I really like this stuff. It's really good, and I think some of the textures in close-ups will be really good. So I was on the other side of the road. I had a little bit of road at the bottom, which helped me give it some scale, and I cropped the top of the log pile at the top of the frame so that I couldn't see any sky, because that was going like 6 stops over. I wouldn't have looked very good. I really like this very much. I am Groot, but this is great. This is really nice. Good stuff. This might work, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it, and hopefully it'll make it in. It's one of my short dog walk shoots, so it's not really important, it's just a bit of fun. But what I like about it is, right in the middle of the shot is this old little red barn. In my shot you can see it a little bit better, and thankfully I remembered not to shoot this at 1.7, because it would have just gone into a sort of like a red blot in the back of the frame. So this was all good. Obviously these tapes, these horse tapes, are out of the shot, and we've got a fence just here that I've had to keep right on the left hand side of the frame, and I've got a ditch in front of me, so I'm stuck. I can't really move anywhere. The horse shelter has come a little bit too far into the left of the frame for my likings. I think it kind of looks a little bit unbalanced because we've got a big stretch of this empty landscape here. But you know, who cares if it's not right in the middle? Much as I love things right in the middle, it isn't today. What I do really like is that, look at that really sharp line of shadow coming down on the right hand side. So that's rather good. It was worth stopping for, I think. Now, well, this is a nuisance. That would have made a really nice shot. I love the way these trees are casting shadows on the end of the building. But they just put a new roof on it. Having done that, they've ruined it. So we're going to walk past this one. I've always loved this building. And I've always wanted to shoot it, and I've always had a problem because I absolutely hate, there's a little bit of wire, can you see that, just stretching across here, and from the roadside, that gets right in the way. It's always been a problem getting in close enough and keeping away from the busy road, so I don't get run over, and getting the shot, and also getting, I kind of like it this time of the day. It's now coming up to 12:30 in the afternoon, and the light's pretty much over my left hand shoulder, and I like this shadow that comes in underneath the eaves on the and again just underneath this flap here. And I like this kind of light. I think this works really well for me, and I'm used to working in this light, and I can't be bothered with hanging around all day and waiting for golden hour. So I'd make this work for me. I always have to be careful about keeping some detail in the highlights, so the exposure is quite important. But I love this shot, and I like the fact that I'm a little bit away from the road, and I can get in a little bit more of the landscape across here, which is quite nice. So I'm really conscious of how big this thing is in the landscape, and I'm always fighting making things big in the frame because I'm old school. I come from a newspaper background when everything was reproduced in what was called halftones, which was the image was converted into dots. The bigger the dot, the more shadow area it was. The smaller the dot, it was the highlights. And this is why they used to call us smudgers, because that ink used to run on the paper, and it looked terrible. I mean, we didn't have to worry about focus in those days because the reproduction was so lousy that it didn't really matter if you were a couple of feet off pin, although we always tried, of course. Anyway, that was then, and this is now in our beautiful 4K rendered world. So I have to be super careful about exposure. Anyway, why am I talking about that? Yes. So in order to make the picture work back in the 80s, you had to get everything pretty big in the frame so that people could understand it. But nowadays we can come right back, and that is a habit that I'm trying to form. And I think I like this shot where it is right now. I think it'll work quite nicely. And I've moved across, I've shot it from around about here in the grass, and I've shot it from around about here. And I've been shooting it on the 20 to 35. So this is super wide, but it does get me out of this problem of this little bit of wire here, because I can get underneath that and still get the whole building in the shot. And if I'm really careful about the way I deal with my horizontals, I can get it to look really nice without any real horrible distortion that you normally get with a super wide lens. So I'm really pleased. This has worked out. Now I must admit that coming up to this shot, I knew I wanted to take it. I wanted to visit here. and get this shot. But I tell you what, I was in a really bad mood. I just like, you know, just couldn't. I didn't seem to have any energy for shooting anything. You might have seen a little shot that I liked that I've shot before, with a building that has a little path that winds, a little track that winds. I mean, if this was the shot, that would be the building there, and this little path would wind off into the distance, and that was really nice. But you know, I'm a bit underwhelmed with myself and my craft, so it's not been a good day so far. But this has cheered me up no end. It's nice. I like this. Even the way we've got these little striations, the way this field has been planted. They came in and they kind of little curve on the right hand side of the frame. It all looks really nice. I like the way it's a little bit framed by all these trees going on over here, which is quite nice. Keeps it quite nice, nice and tight. And then the agricultural part of the landscape just runs off where it needs to be. You might shoot it absolutely straight on as well, which means that I can shut down and get the foreground a little bit out of focus maybe. I don't know. Trouble with this lens is it is so wide that because of the nature of the optics, pretty much everything is sharp. You only need to go to 5.6 and it's all sharp. It's lovely. It's lovely. Let's see if we can go through the grass a little bit. That works quite well. So I just wandered back to our little red barn because it just occurred to me that the 65-24 format would work really well with this, and it really did. Oh my God! It's I hate the word cinematic, but I think it ticks all the boxes. I'm really pleased with that. I'm glad that I went back and did that. It was a very quick shot, only one needed, with the building on the left-hand third and the rest of the landscape out on the right-hand side, and it looked great. It just looked so good. Okay, so I've seen this shot so many times from the side of the road, and I've always loved it. It's this beautiful simplicity of these buildings here, and originally I'll show you a picture because I was originally going to shoot it flat on, square on, but for a couple of logistical reasons and one creative reason, it didn't really work very well at all. So I've kind of bailed on this and settled for an angle shot, which I think actually is starting to work quite nicely. Because of the way the sun is on the left-hand side, as you can see, and the shadow is on the right-hand side. It is just a question of where I shoot it from. Where do I shoot it from? This end, or probably even more up this end. I tried to look up at this side, but these trees here started to get in the way, and these two trees here. Oh, sorry, focus. The two trees in the center of the frame kind of didn't sit in a very good place at all. So I ended up coming just here, and one of the reasons why I like this is because we've got the three buildings in the foreground here, but we've also got this little building here. You can just see the windows and in the top of that, and it's kind of, I like that. It's a different perspective, and it's windows, and there aren't very many windows in this scene, so it's quite nice. The unfortunate thing is I've got this huge swathe of green down here, which in my 4:3 framing is kind of like this. And I think I came just outside that little line of fir trees on the right hand side, these here. And it makes a very pleasant shot. And I like it more at this angle, I think, than what I hoped for flat on, because when I was driving past it, I didn't see the trees in the foreground. There's also a building on the right hand side that doesn't work very well, and it just looked a bit boring, to be honest. This is so much more interesting, and of course shooting it in 65-24 is probably the way to go, because there's the sky and the foreground has nothing to offer, so I'm not going to bother you with it. A little bit Edward Hopper going on here, I think, if I dare. I'm getting a bit hungry, so I'm going to decamp and get away from this noisy, busy road and go and get something to eat. Okay, so this is pretty much what I was talking about. Just getting out and taking pictures, basically. Getting out and taking pictures. There's very much 2 shots in the bag, which I'm really pleased with, and possibly 3. And all I had was, I don't know, 2 hours. About 2 hours, and I did know that these 2 of these shots existed, and I wanted to get them. So that kind of made it a little bit more economical. And I think the important thing is that I was in a really grubby mood. I didn't feel like doing it at all. It was yeah, I almost bailed and went home because my heart wasn't in it. But I just decided to stick with it. I didn't have very much time, so I thought, well, I mean, if I'm going to suffer, I don't want to suffer for very long. So I cracked on with those 2 shots, and the second shot of the little caboose-looking red hut really got my mood back. I felt much happier after that shot, so I thought I'd come down. There were 2 other shots, but I chose to do this last one, the little complex of red barns, over the other one, because the other one actually didn't fit into the sequence all that well. It was just this stand of medium-aged birch trees that always looks really lovely, and I'm always tempted to shoot it. Sorry, I've got to concentrate. Ooh, it's always scary. So I left that for another day. But yeah, the point is, like, it's just do it. Yeah, just get out there and pull a camera out of the car and go and take some pictures, because you never know. You might make a nice picture and you might be in a good mood afterwards, and if you're very lucky, you'll get both. Well, obviously I'm going to be shooting this in 65-24 format, because it kind of makes sense to do so. And I think on its own it wasn't quite working. I think the way this road leads across the frame, I think helps a great deal, because I don't want everything to be too horizontal. It wouldn't have been there, but the buildings themselves can't really hold the interest enough. So what actually works is this 30km/h sign right in the middle of the frame, because I want it to be completely blatant, and I hope it works because I think it might be a nice shot. Well, this is a fun place. It looks like a legitimate graffiti park. The art's quite good though. I mean, it's not quite Bristol standards maybe, but I think they're making a good go of it. There's some nice stuff in here, and it's a great space. I'm on my way to get a cup of coffee, parked up and saw it and thought I'd dive in and have a look. In the beginning it looked a little bit ropey, but you know, might have made a shot, you never know. Well, this was really lovely. It's the signage just up there was right above my shot, but it's a really lovely anonymous bit of commercial architecture, and I like the way all the angles work. Nice steps and blocks and angles that work quite nicely, and it framed really sweetly as well. We got this lamppost in the foreground, which was tricky to position in a sweet spot, but I think I got there in the end. I think I made a nice shot. This was a tricky one. I couldn't quite work out where I was going to shoot this because I kind of like all this detail here, the little seating area outside and the bits of kitchen furniture that have been left out to rot. Ditto this little bit here. And I like the angles. It comes in and then back out and then in and then back out again, and it kind of all worked very nicely, but it was a bit loose from this angle. A little bit too loose perhaps at this angle, and then when I moved in, the part where I couldn't have this little brown box as the main part of the shot because that's kind of stupid, and then if I came in tighter just on the chimney, which I wanted to do in this part of the building, it just wasn't giving any sense of the space of that it sits in and the architecture and all the little details, which I think were really important. So I'm not sure how this is going to work out. And maybe it will work. 65-24. That would be worth looking at. But otherwise, worth stopping for this and the blue truck over there on the other side of the van. So what's not to love about a big blue trailer? Look at this. It's like in splendid isolation with a beautiful verdant background. Nice perspective. I love the little white trim on the edges of the mud guards. Quick shot, lovely, back on the road. So this is why I'm here. This is why I'm visiting Helsinki, because of this gorgeous, indomitable little tree clinging to the rocks, battered by all manner of weather, and it's just gorgeous, just such a beautiful shape, and placed in this really clean background. So this is definitely going to make a shot. I just need to find a way of placing these and this here and keeping this little outcrop here out of the shot and just getting it right in the middle. So let's see what we can get. Those clouds behind it are just amazing, and if I drop this into shadow, it should be really nice. Just got to be really careful of that little island in the background there. I think if I come down I can avoid that. I did find this shot as well, but I don't like it so much because both sides are a little bit too balanced. It was worth a shot, it was worth looking at, but I'm not sure if it made. I'm still trying to get a better shot of this thing now. So I'm going to be wandering around a little bit more, but I think it has to have the sea in the background and the clouds above, so I've got to try and get back somehow. And really, I could have done with a wider lens here, but I'm going to have to make this work. So that pretty much wraps up Finland. I've had a few weeks here and the work I've done has been okay. Nothing massively stand out, but that's not the point. I think the key thing is to show you the process and the thinking behind the shots, and to prove the point that no matter how hard you work or how diligently you approach your craft, there are always going to be things that get in the way, that trip you up, that prevent you from just getting everything perfect. It could be the light's not right, or there's something awkward about the composition, or just that your head's not in the right place. There are so many factors that will always work against you, but that's photography. It's 95% hard work and 5% good fortune. The important thing is to keep getting out and shooting, because every once in a while everything comes together and you get that image that sticks with you. They are rare, and sadly the more you practice your craft and the more you improve, the rarer those shots get. The bar is always rising, and I suppose that's the way it should be. Anyway, here are some shots from my final days in Finland, and then on my way back through Europe to home. Thanks for coming along. I hope you got something from all this, and I hope you join me for the next episode from somewhere in England. Thanks again.